and welcome to 52 Pickup, a podcast about the best comic book series you've never heard of. I did it correctly. My name's Gita, and I'm Gita. As always, I am joined by a professional comic books expert, Alex Jaffe.
Yeehaw!
How's
it going, Gita?
It's going all right. That was so much enthusiasm.
Oh, we got ourselves a humdinger of miscellany over here today.
Yeah.
Here's a bunch of odds and ends from the end of the pork factory.
You know, it's interesting. I was reading this issue and I thought to myself, wow, in my memory, 52 ends at like week 45, right? Essentially. And like all this other stuff, forgot about it.
Yeah. This issue is a collection of scenes that they kind of had to do because we got to stick them somewhere. All right. Like every few issues, we get an issue like this where we just wrapped up a big important story beat. And they're like, oh, right, we got to check in on all the other guys and just make sure we know what they're doing. Because ostensibly this takes place in real time. And we can't just be like, and then they did nothing for 2 months.
Yeah, no, stuff is happening. It is more moving parts. This is an example of an issue also of these writers suddenly remembering that they had a brief to fulfill that they have just ignored.
Yes.
Essentially.
That's big in this one.
That is big. There is suddenly they remember that the DC universe exists outside of these niche characters that they've built up. And that's essentially what we spend our time doing here. We go and we actually see both Diana and Bruce. They show up here and we figured out what they've been doing, which is a whole lot of nothing.
One of the lingering questions since the start of 52 is like, wait, how do Bruce and Diana come back after going in exile? And the big revelatory answer in this issue is they just do.
Yeah, essentially what we're going to see is they got over it.
Yeah.
Like, they're chill now. Don't worry about it. That's basically the moral here.
They just drank their requisite 8 daily glasses of get over it juice. And here they are back in action, ready to fight crime. You want to talk talent?
Yeah, I do want to talk talent.
Let's talk talent.
Is noticeably different in this one, so I was curious about what the talent is in the issue.
The art here is by Giuseppe Gamancoli, who we last saw in issue 41. We got Lorenzo Ruggiero, who's new. He would go on from here to ink Gotham City Sirens, which is the Harley Quinn, Catwoman, Poison Ivy three-hander. And Pete Pantazis, who previously colored issue 26. He did a lot of Harley Quinn work in the 2000s and went on to work on Final Crisis and a bunch of other DC titles. Bringing in some last-minute talent to fill in these storylines here. This loose collection of stuff. What did you think of the art in this issue?
I thought it looked really nice, really clean. Yeah. It reminds me a lot of the kinds of art we see now in comics. I have been going through archives, going back to the halcyon days of the year 2005. Mm-hmm. And you see a lot of different art styles become the sort of predominant art in coloring styles for mainstream comic books. I think last episode, we talked a little bit about the really horrible dodge and burn era of early Photoshop coloring for comics, where it's aged really badly and it looks really bad. This kind of coloring, this kind of really clean and precise inking, you see that a lot recently. Like it's the beginning of digital coloring, digital inking, digital pencils actually looking good.
Yeah, it's when they stopped doing it by hand and they figured out how tablets work.
Yeah, that's what it feels. It feels like very much a modern tablet Wacom like influence on the genre, finally, instead of just doing weird things with Photoshop filters.
Right. What year was YouTube founded?
God, I was 11.
Yeah.
So probably 2001.
It was founded in 2005.
God damn it. Fuck.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't 11 then.
Yeah. This is just when like internet culture as we know it today is kind of coming up.
Yeah.
It's when Time Magazine made you the person of the year. So we're all kind of adjusting to getting all of our lives online and just before the point where robots will do all of our jobs worse. But this is kind of, it's weird to be nostalgic for the mid 2000s, but
yeah.
I guess that's what this podcast is, really, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, it is. It really, really is. This is a point, in the mid-2000s, I was like 15, 16 years old, right? Like that is, I think, the sort of vector, that and anything you liked when you were 12 are like the major, like, black hole points for nostalgia. It's whatever you liked when you first became a teenager, and it's whatever you liked when you were at the end of your teenage years. I do experience nostalgia. I was talking about this a lot with my husband recently about the MCU and how like that was like a dominant form of entertainment for like good 10 years of everyone's lives.
Yeah.
And now it's self-referential and nostalgia bait because it is now in the period of time where people are beginning to have nostalgia for a quote when it was good. Was it ever good? I'd argue some of these movies are good. I'm wearing a Star-Lord t-shirt right now. So I just find it interesting, the kinds of things I have nostalgia about. There was a feeling of possibility with a book like 52. There's a feeling of possibility and discovery and exploration in the world of the early internet, like the internet being becoming a mass utility. I don't feel like those feelings of wonder and exploration exist in the same way. And that's what I'm nostalgic for. And it's hard with nostalgia because it's about the fallibility of memory. So you don't really know if the thing you're nostalgic for even ever existed.
Right. Sometimes you go back and revisit 52 and you get an issue where a whole bunch of weird crap happens that isn't really a landmark of the form. But we got 100 floors. They can't all be gems.
I think when we get to the end of this series, we'll know. I still feel like it is, as I've always said, one of the best comic books that's ever existed. It really is. And I think I still believe that. But I'm glad that I've gone back to it and actually looked at it because now I have a more whole understanding of what this was.
For all of its imperfections, it does more impossibly right than it gets wrong.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a friend of the show, Greg Rucka, the other day. Watch that name around your feet. It's a heavy one. And he was telling me about how as much credit as we give on this show to Steve Wacker for writing the ship, we don't give enough credit to Michael Siglain, who really came in at the halfway point and right after Wacker was poached, somehow managed to keep everything running and all these plates spinning up until the end. I had assumed for a long time that Siglain was also involved in Countdown. I was apparently wrong. He was involved in one of the backups to Countdown. Countdown was an entirely different team.
I see.
So it's my oversight that we haven't given Siglain his flowers for landing this ship, and some of the most impressive issues have been in this back half.
What I've always said has made 52 good is that they set things up and then they actually capitalize on it at the end. And that does require a deft hand to help you remember all of the plot threads that you set up that you now need to cash in on.
I feel like that brings our Talk Talent section to a close for this week. Why don't we talk about this cover? I have some thoughts about this.
Go into your thoughts. I want to hear them.
What is this thing that this dagger is stabbing on this crime Bible? It looks like a heart with bat wings. Is that what's going on here?
Yeah, I think so. In the notes at the end that at the end of the issue that J.G. Jones wrote, it said, the basic idea is that the sacrificial knife is thrust into the cover of the crime Bible. The blade is centered on a graphic representation of a heart with little bat wings. So yes, it is supposed to be a heart, an anatomical model of a heart with little bat wings. The context of the issue makes that make sense. The crime Bible in general doesn't make sense.
Right. I guess it's supposed to be symbolic of Batwoman herself, who is seen in the reflection of this dagger here. I'm also noticing the symbol of like the Kondak flag at the bottom with those 3 triangles.
Oh, I hadn't noticed that.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Something worked into the design there. Something that occurred to me, maybe it's a coincidental because it's just bat wings happen to be a recurring motif in DC Comics on account of he's the main guy. There is this weird out there villain in Grant Morrison's The Multiversity called the Intellectron, which is this like one-eyed egg with bat wings who is like the herald of the end of realities. And with the seeding of like the final crisis, I'm just wondering how much of Morrison's grand 40-year plan for tearing apart multiverse structures he's thinking about over here. Or maybe it's just an egg with wings. Maybe it's just a round shape with little bat wings. I don't know.
I don't think you're wrong exactly, but you know that the way creativity works, you probably end up putting things into stuff that you don't even know that you're thinking about, right? You know, that's like probably more likely is that Morrison saw this and was like, that's actually kind of a cool design. And then their brain just like bookmarked it for later.
Well, with that, I think it's time to check in on your boy, your favorite guy.
Oh, it's my
your
favorite
sweet cheese, your run soldier.
He's my sweet cheese. It's so true. Tim Drake is here, everyone. It's Tim. And I love the way Tim is written in this issue, actually. It feels perfectly Tim Drake.
Yeah.
We meet him right here in the beginning, and he's sitting and he's in Nanda Parbat and he's waiting for Bruce, who is in some kind of cave battling his inner demons. And
we don't get to see that.
No, some cool shit is happening off screen. Instead, we're hanging out with Tim, who is sitting in the cold, drinking soup out of a big bowl. And he's just like, yeah, man, we've been through some shit. It's been real crazy. I don't know what to do. I'm just waiting for Bruce now. And a monk comes over and is like, what does the monk say? Here's something to think about instead of trying to think about nothingness as you are meditating. There's a goose inside a bottle. Now, how do you get the goose out without injuring it or breaking the bottle? And Tim Drake just sits there and ponders that.
So now Tim Drake is doing two things. He's waiting for Bruce and thinking about Goose.
Bruce is on the loose.
Problem is Bruce is not on the loose. No, Bruce is in one spot. We need to loose Bruce.
We need to lose Bruce. Bruce is not loose. He needs to become loose.
That's the story here, though. I want to ask you why you think this particular Cohen is in this story. Is it just, here's a fun thing I read that I want to throw at you, or is there a theme going here?
When we get the answer to the Cohen at the end, I think I'll tell you. Yeah, but just readers, think about it. I have an answer that ties into Grant Morrison's bullshit, and I think that's probably why. But if we flip the page now and we're moving on to Gotham City, we get the title drop. Revelations.
We're not in Gotham yet. We're still in Nanda Parbat.
That's right. We're still Nanda Parbat. Sorry. I jumped the gun a little.
Yeah. Revelations being in this like kind of biblical font to evoke the book of Revelations, also to suggest we're getting a bunch of answers, like actual literal revelations and, you know, the crime Bible and all that.
Yeah, you know.
We get a rare scene where Tim Drake gets to talk to Wonder Woman. What do you think that's like?
Tim Drake talking to Wonder Woman, I think he'd be he's probably fanboying, right? But I also think that there's a certain point where you're so overwhelmed by the nature of the interaction you're having, you become completely normal. I think that's what's happening to him right now.
Yeah, I think he's thinking something like, I can't believe I'm at the top of the world right now with my boyfriend's girlfriend's mom.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. He's like...
So they're worried about Bruce. Keith Giffen is doing some cool breakdowns here. Maybe my favorite image in this issue, where while they're having this conversation about spiritual purification and the process of like climbing the steps to get here, Bruce Wayne has a shadow of the bat cast over his face and is just screaming like a madman at you behind these panels.
He's really not, he's fucking going through it. Bruce Wayne not having a good time.
This was not a good year for him. Now we go to Gotham City.
Okay, now we're back in Gotham, finally. And it's just crime Bible bullshit, sorry guys. Like, that's why the issue is called Revelations, is because they remember that the crime Bible is a Bible. They're performing a human sacrifice to find the twice-named daughter of Cain. And then the scene that happens right after that is them realizing that Cain can also be a name.
I can't even be mad because it's such like Adam West Batman shit.
I know. It's like over the top stupid, so it feels really intentional.
Yeah.
Like they're dumb on a level you've never seen before.
What kind of canes are there? The Riddler has a cane. We have to find the Riddler.
He's a crack a murderer.
Yeah.
After we leave that distressingly brief, I just like don't. Okay. The Crime Bible, they are just refusing to develop it. They're like, I feel like it's one of those tasks that is being passed off to every single writer, like a hot potato, and they're just like,
Right.
I don't want to touch this.
Yeah.
Like, why? I know that we, like, find out, sort of. Like, why do they need to perform a human sacrifice in the name of the twice-named daughter of Cain? That doesn't make sense. And they don't explain it. But it's the most important thing that they have to do.
It's so important to them. They have to do it because it's in the book. And if they don't do the thing that's in the book, then they fucked up. That's it,
it's
really.
Like human sacrifice, kidnap Batwoman, question mark, profit?
Something. We don't get answers in this book.
Yeah, God, it's ridiculous. Now we move on to Oolong Island, which is at least somewhat more entertaining to read.
Yeah. Oolong Island is great, as ever. We just hear in the background Black Adam yelling. We don't even see him, but he's just like screaming through Dr. Savannah, finding creative, inventive ways to torture him that are left to our imagination. Which is interesting because we have kind of two things going on here in this issue of things that the writers are refusing to show us, which is Batman's process and what Black Adam is going through. But I think we get enough of the reactions around Black Adam to tantalize our imaginations, whereas what Bruce's whole journey is at this point is kind of a black hole.
Yeah. Morrison would go into greater detail in terms of the interior landscape of Bruce's mind later on. So I, as a reader, don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. But if you have not read Grant Morrison's Zur-En-Arrh stuff, then this is just like a huge mystery. This is one of the things where I do think Grant was like sitting down and thinking, I'm going to pick up this thread a little bit later.
Yeah.
Like, what happens when Bruce goes on like a fucked up vision quest or whatever, you know? Like, that
does track, yeah.
Yeah. And that becomes such a huge part of the end of the Bruce Wayne part of Grant Morrison's run on Batman that it feels like, probably they were just like, don't show it. I'm going to expand on this later.
What I love about the scene is the role that Plutonium Man plays here, which is the weird metal man we don't talk about from the 70s. That, like, the greatest marker of how badly Will Magnus is spiraling is that he is recreating the manifestation of his mental breakdown from the 70s. That's
so interesting. I had no idea that was Plutonium Man. Thank you. The expressions on this page, like, this is why I really liked the art here. Will Magnus's expression of fear and terror, every single face is a unique face expressing a different extreme emotion. It's really wonderful. I also love Mercury in his little pocket.
Yeah, little Mercurian tin in his lab coat. No, don't do it. Turn him off. He's gonna destroy the world. Yeah, it's so adorable. And like, as soon as he turns on Plutonium Man just starts saying crush, race, trample. And it's so comic booky in such a fun way. I appreciate this. I'd like a little levity in my comics. We go from one Morrison scene right to another. Remember Buddy Baker? He's still in space. He's still in space, guys! And he's learned how to traverse space by taking on the powers of the, what are they called? Star Eaters. And the Sun Eaters, yeah. The Sun Eaters. A sun is a star, so technically I am right. You were correct, yes. Yes, but I didn't use the nomenclature. And we see again the aliens that Morrison introduced in the invasion arc of Animal Man. And they just re-explain everything that's happened to Buddy Baker. I love them taking him to this like white void space B, which feels very much like Morrison revisiting Limbo in a way that feels intentional, like in the same way that Animal Man has been. Maybe I'm pulling this out of my ass. Maybe I'm giving Morrison too much credit here, but it feels like taking Animal Man to Limbo here is a commentary on how this storyline itself has kind of existed in this liminal space between other storylines and has kind of fallen through the cracks. And that is how Animal Man is able to use it to traverse the universe.
You know, I actually really like that reading. Like, the thing about modern discussions of like anything, any kind of media at all, is that everyone always wants to say, like, my reading is correct. And here's my thing. Your personal reading of a scene can be right, can be wrong, but if you can support it with evidence from the text, then it's valid. Like, that's a valid reading of it. And I think that this makes the storyline more interesting to me by having a little bit of a Morrison-style meta-commentary on the nature of the storyline itself. We do, in a 52-esque way, we get a preview of what happens a month from now in this sequence with Animal Man. And he sees his wife, Ellen, but someone puts a hand on her shoulder and says, "I'm so glad you got over your grief."
He's being cucked through time and space.
I mean, yeah, it's like a month forward solicit.
Yeah.
You know, like, it is a very much still about the act of writing narrative or writing comics.
And, like, you can already tell what the punchline is going to be. Like, of course, that's Buddy, right?
Yeah, duh. It's a blonde guy whose face is in shadow.
Come on.
Who else could it be?
We're not stupid. Animal Man has a good old-fashioned freak out. He's coming home. And we get a little bit of closure after that on the Steel storyline. That having ended already, we get our end tag here.
I really like this little epilogue on the Steel story.
This is a nice little bookend to where we found them at the very beginning of the series.
Natasha's suit looks so fucking good. Also,
so
now that
good.
we see it from so many different angles. I loved the thing you said last week about while the suit itself is not decked out with stereotypical aesthetic aspects of blackness, you can really tell a black person is in the suit.
Yes.
And that is so difficult for comic books. Comic books are a lot like professional wrestling in that any character's like ethnic characteristics are going to be exaggerated in really unflattering and upsetting ways. And here it's just like, no, I can tell Natasha's in there. And it's a lot of little subtle details, like you can still kind of see the contours of her face when the mask is on, or the hair kind of looks like, not hair, there's a part of her helmet has ridges in the same way that textured hair looks like when it's in a braid or something.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and it's not exaggerated. It just says what is a way a black woman would dress. And then it tries to apply that to a metal robot suit. It looks great.
Yeah, 20 years later, this is still basically her costume. And, like, I don't begrudge that. The difference is she's got a big S on her chest now, but she's earned that.
Absolutely. I mean, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, she has it here, too. So what am I talking
a character about? I would love to see in the DC Studios movies is Steel and Natasha. That would be so fucking sick. In this scene, Natasha, as a sign of her maturity, remember at the beginning of the series, she was desperate to do superheroism, but as a sign of maturity, Garf is offering her a place. G is offering her a place on the Teen Titans, and she turns it down. She doesn't think she's ready for the responsibility. And then when her uncle father asks her about the specs on her suit, now she's doing. She says, "I'm going to do the tune-up myself. You don't have to do it because it's my suit and my responsibility." And not only that, our friend Steel gets a girlfriend out of the deal. Seems like everything's going great.
Yeah, apparently there was a romance subplot here, I guess.
I suppose so.
There was a woman in this story, and therefore there was a romance plot.
Listen, though, she joins the hallowed halls of me and Kamala Harris as being Natasha finally has an Indian dad, an Indian mom, and a black dad.
And they end this storyline by unveiling Steelworks and talking about forming a new team, which is going to seed another 52 spin-off book that doesn't really get too far off the ground. And we leave them with a workplace harassment joke.
It was a different time.
Was it?
I mean, yes.
I guess.
But there's still no real excuse for this.
Yeah.
So whatever. On day 6, we are back in Gotham. And we have a very brief scene where our good friend the Question, shows up at Kate Kane's apartment, only to see it ransacked.
I don't know what you're talking about. The Question's dead. This is Renee Montoya.
Oh, but she's wearing a hat.
She's wearing a hat. She's wearing a coat. I can see why you would make the mistake, but you can clearly see she has a face. So,
okay. Sorry about that. She's not the Question. She's not the Question yet, no. Or is she?
Or is she?
Yeah.
But yeah, she walks up to this apartment trying to find Kate. There's signs that there was some kind of huge supervillain fight here. They thoughtfully left the menorah there to remind you that she's Jewish.
Why does she have the menorah? Was it just sitting out? Well, before they left, they went through her Judaica folder. Yeah. It's just her, like, I don't need any of this shit.
They took the chauffeur with them because they thought it might be important for some ritual or something.
Yeah, exactly. They needed to blast the horns before they sacrificed her. God.
Who should show up through the window but the only other character that Batwoman has interacted with through this entire series? Nightwing's here. And he's teaming up with Renee. Like, hey, let's go get her back.
Yeah.
Which is, I really like the art on this apartment. I like the art on Renee's expressions in these pages. It feels like in that first page of this 2-page sequence, there's a real sense of forward movement. She's a woman on a mission. I like the building that has the big tree in the middle where she lives, which feels like a reference to the penthouse where Bruce Wayne was living in the 1970s when he moved away from Wayne Manor. Might be the same building. And with that, we go back to Nanda Parbat. They're really bouncing us around this issue.
I also want to say they give us almost every single day of this week instead of everything happening on one day, which is kind of nice. I remember when the days of the week mattered in these comics.
Right. They have so many storylines to get. They're like, oh, we have 7 storylines. We could actually do something here. We go back to Nanda Parbat and we get a scene which I'm pretty sure Greg Rucka is still mad about to this day.
Please tell me. Okay, number 1, here's the resolution of Diana's story of growth after committing a murder. Ramakrishna basically says, yeah, don't worry about it.
Right. You fucked up, and that means you're human. So it was a good thing you killed him.
Like, Ramakrishna literally is like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
And Diana's like, you're right. It was a good thing I killed him. And now to get written by Jodi Picoult for 5 issues. Oh my
fucking God. Jesus. I do like the outfit Diana is wearing. It's a callback to when she was a spy.
Oh, yeah.
And
absolutely.
didn't have powers. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's still, even though that era of the comics is reviled, it's still a really cute outfit on her. She looks great.
It's a great look, yeah.
Especially for like a cold, wintry area where she is. She's got that really thick cable knit sweater, turtleneck. It looks great.
Between us, I think that era of Wonder Woman is a little overhated. There is some cool stuff going on over there. Some fun, sexy spy adventures.
I knew that you would find the bright side.
Yeah.
Frankly, I did know. I know most people strongly dislike it because she's depowered, blah, 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 blah. But here's the thing. Agent Peel is cool.
Yeah.
Spy stuff is cool. They wanted those books to sell.
Was it wrong to take away Wonder Woman's powers? Yes. But they told some cool stories.
Yes.
It was Denny O'Neil doing cool super spy shit. It worked for Batman. I can't see why.
Listen, are you really going to get mad at Denny O'Neil for doing cool super spy stuff? That's my take on it. You know?
I mean, even Denny admitted that he made a mistake, but I think it gets too much hate. There's some cool stuff there.
Yeah.
There's some rancid stuff there, like some weird Asian stereotype characters.
Yeah.
But that's also part of like doing a James Bond thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Weird racial stereotypes and James Bond go together like bread and butter.
Yeah. What stereotypes do you think Amazon is going to do with James Bond?
Oh my fucking God. They're going to stereotype all non-Amazon users as stupid.
Yeah.
It's like my main thing. Everyone's so excited to go work in the Amazon warehouse in the series. So meanwhile, too, Ramakrishna telling Diana that it's like her committing murder is fine. Tim finally realizes...
If only she had told Osiris that. We could have avoided all of this.
It's a great point. It's literally a great point. But Tim, also simultaneous to this happening, realizes the answer to the puzzle. He says, I tried to think about the goose and all that, but it just got weird. I kept thinking about how that situation could ever arise, and then I realized something. There's only a goose in a bottle because you said so. And this is why I think they chose the koan, right?
Let me hear it.
The only reason why any of this stuff is happening in this comic book to these characters is because these 4 individuals sat down and wrote it.
Right.
They could get out of any of this at any time, but if by any means, but it still becomes real because they thought about it. And that is like the inherent nature of all creation of all art. It is something that exists only in your mind and can be made real by sharing it with others. And that's what comic books are, baby.
That's very close to my thought, which is what I think is, we've talked about a lot how 52 was predicated on this scenario that was given to them, that you need to solve all of these problems that we created. And the thesis of 52 is, fuck you, we're going to do something else entirely.
Yeah.
52 is a series about refusing to imagine the goose.
Yes. I think that ties in with these two ideas. These two ideas tie into each other really, like, in a way that makes me feel like, yes, they chose this particular koan intentionally. It's not just about writing all of comics. It's also specifically about crisis events in comic books and how they are used to resolve editorial problems. Sometimes that ends up creating really fun, energetic, lovely storytelling. Yeah. Other times, you're just sort of like, why do we need to consider these editorial problems at all? You just made up a situation for us to resolve. We're going to do other stuff because it's more fun.
Why is Bruce suddenly okay? Is because Bruce's journey was not part of the story we wanted to tell. He's just back because we would rather hang out with Batwoman and Renee Montoya and Animal Man and Steel and all of our other little blorbos. And that's valid.
Yeah, absolutely. It is really, I guess, sort of calling out to the audience as just sort of like, like all those things you worry about with continuity problems, those are problems you made up in your head.
Yes.
And you really don't have to worry about that. Why is Bruce okay? Because we said he's okay.
Right. And we get that last image of Bruce Wayne emerging from the cave, smiling, determined, obligatory bat shadow cast behind him.
It's really giving girl who's gonna be okay.
Yeah. What song is playing over this scene?
Oh my god. Cut to the feeling.
Yeah. And we get a little preview of some more Crime Bible bullshit that's going to happen next week.
Oh boy, everybody loves the Crime Bible.
And we get our backup for this issue, which is the origin of the Teen Titans, a little 2-issue thing. And I think one of the rare weird incongruities in this whole series of 2-page explainers, where it just feels kind of out of place with the rest of them. And I think there's a good reason for that. The art is by Carl Kerschel and Stephanie Peru, who worked on the Teen Titans Year 1 book with Amy Wolfram, which is actually a lot of fun, but has a completely different lineup to this. And what's curious about this is that it's very much focused on the Teen Titans as you know them from the Teen Titans cartoon. Whereas that feels so far out of Mark Waid's personal interest. His Teen Titans are very clearly the Teen Titans from the 70s. Dick Grayson, Wonder Girl, Kid Flash, Aqualad, Speedy.
And it's also not going to help you as a reader for the Teen Titans that exist as a currently running comic book, right? The Teen Titans that exist in that comic, Kid Devil, Ravager, Miss Martian, who I am so glad became a recurring character because I think she's so adorable.
Miss Martian rules. I love her.
Miss Martian's such a cutie pie.
What a great character who came out of just Jeff Johns wanting to use Supergirl, but her being off the table.
Fantastic. See, that's an editorial solution, a creative solution to an editorial problem that I think is additive instead of being a huge fucking tar pit. I remember reading this run of Teen Titans because I was also a Teen Titans cartoon fan. Right. And it is the most dour, heavy-handed, depressing shit. It takes all of the worst cues from the CW show.
Right.
Everybody's having sex with each other and hating each other. And nobody trusts each other and nobody likes each other.
Gita, have you ever watched that live action Titans show?
No, but I keep almost watching it.
I feel like that would make a great bonus episode. Just talk about like the pilot or something.
Absolutely. I would love to. Because you know me, I love CW shows. I actually started rewatching Smallville and it's fantastic. I really, really enjoy at least the first season where they're just really dedicated to the Buffy Monster of the Week formula. Like there is an episode where a fight takes place in a graveyard and I'm like, this is a straight up Buffy the Vampire Slayer ripoff. And it's fantastic. It's wonderful. It's a great format for that show.
I think my problem with Smallville is the same problem that a lot of people had with 52, in that I kept waiting for Superman to do Superman shit, but that's not what it's about.
Yeah, that's very, very true. And I know late into the series, not being allowed to have Superman really hampered them in a way where characters start doing things that simply do not make sense. But I do think Tom Welling is like a compelling teen drama version of a young Clark Kent. And I also really like how they depict Ma and Pa Kent as like active participants in him figuring out his moral center. And Kristen Krick is really, really, really beautiful.
And I'll say that Smallville season 11, the comic that Brian Q. Miller did to like be a sequel to Smallville, is kind of like secretly the best Superman comic of the 2010s. The whole thing is predicated like, okay, if we were allowed to do Superman, if we had unlimited budget, this is what we would have done next. And it just goes completely balls to the wall.
Yeah.
I love it. It's unrestrained Superman in an era where Superman was defined by restraint. And, that same reason I love that James Gunn movie. Go listen to our bonus feed where we talk about that some more. Join the likes of Greg Rucka, who just wrote to tell me that he subscribed. So,
thank you, Greg.
Good enough for him. Thanks, Greg.
If it's good enough for Greg Rucka, it's good enough for you.
Yeah, come on. What do you think? You're better than the guy who wrote Lazarus?
Come on. Aftermath.site/products. Congratulations on the Old Guard 2, Greg.
Yeah. What's your favorite scene this issue?
I think it's the button on the Steel storyline.
It is really strong, yeah.
It feels just good to read. Those characters all get a complete arc. And I really like the place. I really like that they're just setting up readers to want to read more about these people and their foibles. It's nice.
For me, it's the mad scientists aggressively ignoring the torture of Black Adam on New Long Island. That feels very good to me.
It's really funny. It's a very funny scene. That's like it was a toss up between those two for me. Because the Oolong Island stuff, the artists for this issue, because they are so good at drawing really expressive and very funny faces, it just really sells. Like the cartooniness of Oolong Island.
Do you have anything to put on the blackboard today?
For the blackboard, really, it's just like, what happened to Bruce?
Yeah, what happened to him?
Happened to
I think
him?
you're onto something with like that Zur-En-Arrh stuff.
Yeah,
that might be what Morrison is going for here.
Yeah, I think this is like a first run at the idea of Bruce Wayne has like a mental prison that he has to escape every time he like loses control of his psyche or whatever. But it's so... We can only guess because we see one snippet of him screaming in terror, and then like 12 hours later, he walks out fine.
Just beatific.
He's beaming. The smile on his face, I don't know why, but it makes me like really feel a sense of foreboding or doom when I see this illustration of Bruce. Bruce smiling feels unnatural to me.
I don't know why I'm saying this. Maybe it's because of the fact that I've only slept 3 hours in the last 48. But to me, it very much looks like he's coming out having just nutted in that cave.
That is what it looks like. I'm so sorry.
He just came for the first time in his life. That's why he looks like that.
That's why he's been so upset.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Guy that's going to be okay.
This is a good episode and we have a good show.
We do.
Blackboard for me. I want to talk about something that really disturbed me in this issue. We've been having a lot of fun with the Crime Bible. We've been talking about like Moriarty and Bugsy Malone and just like all these like fanciful criminals in the book. And suddenly in like the sacrifice scene, Whisper Adair evokes Peter Curtin and Holly Harvey Crippen and John Wayne Gacy, who are just like really scary, actual real life killers. And it's made me think a lot about how in the past 8 to 10 years, we've seen like a real turn in just like a fascination with these real people as if they were like fictional villains. The true crime industry. And
yeah.
I wanted to get your read on that. Like, where do you think this is coming from? What do you think it appeals to? What is this? What is our cultural fascination with the true crime genre?
Have you seen the fucking world? It's scary out there.
It is.
I genuinely think fascination with true crime comes from seeing how violent and random crime can be and wanting to exert control over it, which is like a misguided idea. Every time I hear the catchphrase, stay sexy and don't get murdered, I want to just hurl myself off a cliff because there's no way to stop it, right? Like these people prey on human, like especially someone like Gacy. I don't know, like these people like prey on other human beings by exploiting weaknesses in them. And there's very little chance if you become a target of them that you can really do anything about it. And that sucks. The randomness of life is really scary, but trying to exert control over yourself or over others so that you don't experience harm, it doesn't work, unfortunately. It just doesn't work. I do think it's a testament to how unfocused the crime Bible is, that they suddenly start bringing on real serial killers, right? Like, does Wayne Gacy exist in the DC universe? Who caught him?
Is he related to Bruce Wayne? Is it like a similar Wayne? Is he like his cousin?
Yeah, is it Bruce Wayne's cousin?
Is it Bruce Wayne Gacy? Yeah.
Distant cousin, they don't talk about it.
Right.
Yeah, that comes up in the Court of Owls.
Yeah, I think Bruce Wayne Gacy is the civilian name of the Batman Who Laughs.
Oh, fuck. That's horrible, but also probably canon.
The thing about the Batman Who Laughs is that if you speak something terrible about him into the world, it becomes true.
Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely. So we can't talk about him any longer. God, what a completely creatively bankrupt idea the Batman Who Laughs is.
I have a theory about the Batman Who Laughs.
Tell me, I want to hear it, actually.
I think what do you know about the story that the Batman Who Laughs comes from?
Not very much. Let's explain what the Batman Who Laughs is, also in case people don't know what it is.
The Batman Who Laughs is, the log line is, what if Batman was also the Joker? But a little more detail than that is that he's from an alternate universe where Batman does kill the Joker, but with the Joker's dying breath, he Jokerizes Batman, and Batman becomes the new Joker and kills everybody.
It's so stupid. It's just
Hold on.
dumb.
Let me explain.
Okay.
This story is part of a concept that Scott Snyder introduced, which is that he refers to as the dark multiverse. The whole idea is that these are these horrible, just stomach-churning realities that are too gruesome to live and are so ephemeral that the moment they're imagined, at the moment they're even brought into imagination, they dissipate. And there's like some force in the multiverse that's keeping them around unnaturally. The point of the characters that emerge from the dark multiverse is that they're bad ideas. These are rejected drafts of characters who are like fighting for the right to exist. I am like 98% sure, having actually read all that Scott Snyder stuff, that is what he is actually doing. And it's not his fault that people looked at that character and said, actually, he's really cool.
I thank you for your service, number one. Like, braver than the troops, my friend, for actually reading all that shit. But you know what? That does make a sick kind of sense, because the Batman Who Laughs is not like a character you can like write about doing things, right? Because his answer to every problem is murder. Like there's no way to write about that character. They just kind of show up and kill. Also, the design of the Batman Who Laughs is so infuriating, frankly.
Right.
Like,
I think it's supposed to be.
Dumb. Yeah. He looks like the Jigsaw.
He looks literally just like Judge Death from the Judge Dredd comics, with little bat ears. Yeah. And I think that's all supposed to be there. I don't think Scott Snyder is stupid. I think it's supposed to be a dumb idea. It's supposed to be a creatively sickening idea. The problem is, people read it and they're like, Walter White's the hero.
Yeah. The problem is you
They
can't
Rick
account
Sanchez
for
him.
lowest common denominator,
Yeah.
right? Like, you just can't. Like, people will like things that are stupid. There are out there right now furious Zack Snyder fanboys that hate that Superman's weak at this point. You know, people like stuff that is bad. I like stuff that is bad. You know, you're not immune to slop. It just, you have to be able to recognize when you're fucking slurping from that trout, you know? And I think that there are people out there, especially the kind of person who would like the Batman Who Laughs, that just can't recognize when they're like being pandered to.
There are people who are like, why doesn't Superman have a harem of breedable women? Is he stupid?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
All right.
That's real.
We got note letters this week, so what are we going to do?
Want to talk about some comics?
Let's talk about comics.
Let's talk about comics.
This is our brand new segment where when we don't have good letters, write better letters, gang. You could write us at 52mailbag@gmail.com. Don't just send us good letters. Because when we don't get enough, you're going to have to hear us talk about the comics that we have been reading lately in a segment that I don't have a name for.
Let's call it Let's Talk About Comics.
Let's talk about comics. Yeah.
Yeah. I got some stuff I actually wanted to bring up to you because I've been on a journey with Marvel recently, and I know that's not your wheelhouse, but I remembered when Civil War was going on more or less concurrently with 52.
That's right.
People were like, Civil War sucks, but you should be reading the crazy stuff that's going on in Marvel's space. You know, a lot of the point of 52 was also to create more stuff that goes on in the deep, far reaches of the galaxy. Somewhat, I would say, almost totally unsuccessfully.
Yeah.
Space still feels empty and lawless in the DC universe.
Unless you're a cop or a god, there's nothing going on.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, I, as a fan of the MCU, like I took this whole journey. After Gunn's Superman, I went back and I rewatched all 3 Guardians of the Galaxy movies. I am, as I previously mentioned, currently wearing a t-shirt emblazoned with Star-Lord's face on it. And I was like, I really like these characters. Where were they relevant? And lo and behold, they came the roster for Guardians of the Galaxy that exists in the movies comes from that era of cosmic Marvel stuff. Yes. And I found a reading guide because I kept finding points where I was like, this has got to be the beginning. And then be like, nope, I still feel like there's context I'm missing that I want to go and find that context. And I found a reading guide, and it starts off with some great fucking comics, man. A Thanos comic from like 2005. First 6 issues, Jim Starlin, writing and drawing. And the second 6 issues written Keith Giffen.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like back-to-back bangers. It's really good also, because the first 6 issues is just, feels like it's straight out of the 1970s. It is people with weird hats, and there's a disembodied voice that represents hunger. There's a bunch of weird panel layouts and stuff. Really invented. It makes you feel like Starlin has just never lost the juice. Thanos is in this arc. He's like, I'm sick of being a bad guy. Let me try being a good guy. But he's still Thanos, so he's still doing things extremely lethally. And it's a romp. But the second arc, written by Keith Giffen, who apparently also wrote a lot of the tie-ins and lead-ins to the Annihilation War, which is what everyone talks about when they talk about Cosmic Marvel being good. It's really, really good. It's like some shit I think people should just actually read. It sees Thanos walking into the jail, the Kiln, which is supposed to be unbreakoutable, and then, of course, breaking out of it.
Of course.
And there's some stuff in there that like is relevant to true Marvel freaks, but it is also the first appearance of Peter Quill's Star-Lord since he was like invented, and it's very different. It's very different from how we see him in the later MCU movies. People say that Peter Quill experienced MCU cohesion, like MCU comics synchronicity character assassination, but it's just mostly that he's always been a guy who quips, and he's always been a guy from Missouri that is just in space randomly. He didn't become, I think, a man-child until he showed up in the MCU, but it's basically about he's a grizzled war veteran that's trapped in prison when you first meet him here. And then in the movies, because there's no war, they kind of have to strip 10 years off of him in order for that character to make sense.
Right.
He's still a quippy guy from Missouri that feels very much like the kind of guy that would end up in space, living out his Captain Kirk fantasies of having sex with green-skinned alien babes. But he's just 10 years younger. And that's just the real difference between these characters. I color me impressed, man. I forgot how good comics can be. Like, there's just a bunch of weird designs for aliens on every page. And they have names like Swad and Kika. And they have, there's 3 alien security guards for the Kiln that show up in each one of these Keith Giffen issues. And I've never met these people before, and I'll never see them again. But I ended up feeling really fond about their sort of, work rivalry that they end up having. It's just silly shit. It's really inventive and really fun.
I am a little bit envious of how much development the space stuff Marvel gets.
Yeah.
And it's a testament to how good that stuff is that you are wearing a shirt with Chris Pratt's face on it.
I
3
know.
times.
He's a Republican, but it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I've made my peace with that, right? Yeah. I'm not attracted to Chris Pratt. I'm attracted to the character Peter Quill Star-Lord.
You on it with the mask on.
Oh my God, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
That mask is cool as fuck. The only thing I don't like about the cosmic stuff too, right now, is that, that face that all male comic book heroes had in the 90s, where it's just kind of their mouth is just kind of a weird accordion shape.
Yeah.
And they're always scowling. Yeah. Yes. Every male character is making that face.
Yeah.
in
McFarlane face.
Yeah. It's a weird, the mouth is just a weird series of squiggle, and their brows are always furrowed. Yeah. And it's just there's other expressions to make, you guys.
I've been reading a ton of stuff. I've been reading The Shadow Hero by our friend Jean Lin Yang and Sunny Liu. Won an Eisner back in 2015. It's a reinvention he did of what is considered the first Asian Western superhero from some defunct company. There was this hero called the Green Turtle who just immediately disappeared into obscurity. But at the time, anti-Asian sentiment was so high that the writers were not even allowed to show his face, and he was always covering his face when he faced the camera, just to not give away the fact that he was Asian. So they took these little scraps in the margins of those very early Golden Age stories, which are reprinted in the collection, and you can see how they built them into creating this Morrisonian level mythology around this character that literally everyone has forgotten. And I think that's really, really cool.
Fuck. I'm going to have to pick that the fuck up. That sounds really great.
I read Batman Death by Design by Chip Kidd and Dave Taylor.
I've heard that's great.
It is great. It's a great, there aren't a lot of stories about Batman doing detective shit. This is one of those. Chip Kidd's one of the biggest Batman fans of all time. And this is one of the few comics he's actually written. He's mainly a historian. He was responsible for getting the Jiro Kuwata Batman manga stateside for the first time after they were lost for decades. So getting, just seeing him actually write this Batman story with Dave Taylor's very architecture heavy art, leaning on this. I love stories that are about the construction of Gotham City. Those are my favorite Scott Snyder shit.
Yeah.
I read a really nice hardcover edition. I would recommend checking that out if you get the chance. I read Jeff Lemire's Underwater Welder. That was a really good time. Yeah. I think Damon Lindelof wrote the foreword comparing it to a classic Twilight Zone episode. And he's absolutely right. It feels like it could have been part of some unsettling sci-fi horror anthology. I won't give away what happens in it, but it's about a guy whose job is doing underwater welding, and he has issues with his family. And I'll leave it at that. Good stuff. It's something that he worked on while he was doing Sweet Tooth. You'll notice if you read Sweet Tooth, there are a few issues that Matt Kint stepped in to do the art. It's because he was working on Underwater Welder.
Oh, interesting. That's really fucking cool.
Yeah.
Jeff Lemire, I don't understand how he writes so much.
I know.
It's really, really, that dude's creativity is just out of control. I'm genuinely envious of it.
And most of it is really good. I am not enjoying his JSA comic right now. But I
like
that,
Absolute Flash, even if it's kind of a basic concept, right?
Yeah.
Like it is just Sweet Tooth again, but god damn it, I like Sweet Tooth.
I enjoy it. Yeah.
Also, I love the interpretation of Gorilla Grodd in Absolute Flash.
That's the whole thing.
It's so cute. Oh my god. The Gorilla Grodd is still a super intelligent monkey, but he's like a baby chimpanzee, and he's like he's
Flash's best friend.
Oh my god, it's so sweet.
I'm betting that was the pitch document. We're going to make Gorilla Grodd Baby Yoda.
Yes, I bet that was. And they're banking on the time where it breaks containment and people want a plushie of it.
Yeah. That's what I read, and I had a good time reading it. And I plan to read more comics in the future. Comic
books are fucking good, right? When you don't have a bitch in your ear telling you comic books suck, they're fucking good. I love comics. Yeah. What can I say? I love to sit down with my little iPad and read a comic, then fall immediately asleep. It feels great.
You don't need to get ready to stay comics if you stay ready to stay comics. And with that in mind,
I've actually got a question for you related to that topic.
Okay.
Are you ready? Are you prepared to answer this question? Just settle yourself.
Are you asking me if I'm ready to answer this question?
Yes.
Okay. I need to consider that, but first, can I ask you a question?
Okay.
Are you prepared for this question I'm about to ask you?
I believe I have prepared myself adequately for this question.
Okay. I'll ask you this, and then you will I'll let you ask me the question you were allowed to ask me. Thank you for letting me interrupt this.
No problem.
Because
we're friends, right?
Yeah, we are friends. I know proper etiquette would be to answer your question before you addressed mine, but you just reminded me by the fact that you're getting me ready to answer this, that I need this from you. And what I would like to ask you in this moment is, are you ready?
But I was going to ask you if you were ready.
Gift of the Magi.
52 Pickup is an Aftermath production created by Gita Jackson and Alex Jaffe and edited by Esper Quim with original music by John Aaron. Hosting for 52 Pickup is provided by Insert Credit. The views and opinions expressed on this show are solely those of the show's personalities and do not reflect those of DC Entertainment or Warner Brothers. Please rate and review our show wherever you can and send your questions and comments to 52mailbag@gmail.com. Never stop reading comics. Okay, that's good. That was a good one.
Turns out I can do an episode on Zero Sleep.
Okay, I need you to go immediately to sleep now, though.
I know.
I'm not
Hold
joking.
On. Let me save this project and export audio and blah, 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 blah. That was a fun one.
That ended up being good. The only out-of-pocket thing you said was about Bruce nutting in the cave, but that was still really funny.
Don't cut that. Don't cut that. Just like, finally, I came.
So that's why he's so scared earlier.
Yeah. What's happening? I don't understand this.
Bruce, when he learns about gooning for the first time.